We're back after another long hiatus. Thank you, technical difficulties. Evidently, sometimes we can't hear Jacob Hart. Yeah. So that's what we get for buying
It's honestly not the worst.
Why are you on my mic?
It's just the cheapest mics money can buy. It's the problem. It's the problem. But unfortunately, we do not have the other Jacob.
For that mic.
Unfortunately,
I said don't get that mic. I said this was the cheapest option. That's fine. We honestly don't need to hear Jacob all the time.
We are without Jacob Howard. Prayers up to him and his family. He's got a little family emergency going on, so we've got them in our prayers. But the show must go on since it hasn't in a month and a half. We felt obligated. It's an exciting time. NFL's in full swing. College football is definitely going to get canceled. I have no doubt in my mind. We will not have a championship. The NBA draft is next week, which is great since the NBA season ended like when our last podcast happened. Pretty wild stuff. So we're excited. We are going to go through all of those things tonight. As always, sponsored by Bovada. If I were a betting man,
we can't say that it's sponsored.
We definitely can't, but we're just going to go along with it till they tell us to stop.
It's free publicity for them. They would never tell us.
We could say it.
Maybe they'll give us bonuses to our accounts. Anyway.
Oh, bonus ones.
If I were a betting man, this is NBA Draft Prop Edition. I'm excited about these. I think there's some good NBA draft props. My favorite one, I'll just start with it. James Wiseman is plus 700 for the first pick. Word around the street, Ant Edwards has not impressed in pro days. I think he's falling to 3 or 4, which is kind of crazy, but I think he is. And then it becomes LaMelo versus James Wiseman, and I am not convinced in the slightest that LaMelo, 1, fits with the Timberwolves and D'Angelo Russell. And 2, I'm not convinced the Timberwolves are keeping their first overall pick because they've gotten some great offers for it, evidently. So I love Wiseman plus 700. I feel like someone would definitely try to leapfrog the Warriors for him.
I'm taking that. I mean, I think someone could definitely trade up. James Wiseman is arguably the best big in this draft. And so, I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be the Timberwolves to pick here, right, at 1. So, I'll take that. It's plus 700. I'll take that to the bank.
We're banking that.
Yeah. About an hour before we started recording Wednesday at 10, there was a report that the Timberwolves were shopping that pick. Or no, the Warriors were shopping their pick. And their
number 2 pick.
So that makes sense. But anyway, Wiseman, plus 700, first pick. Love it. My next one I am not sold on, but I'm gonna pitch it anyway. It's the over-under for freshmen taken in the top 10 is 4.5. So we've got 4, right? We've got Edwards, Wiseman, Okongwu, and Okoro. Those 4 are almost definitely going to go top 10. The question is, do we get like a Patrick Williams, who has been rumored to the Pistons quite a bit? Does he slide in the top 10 to cash that over? The over is plus 185 there. So it's a pretty favorable line.
Moon it. Josh Green might go in the first round too. Freshman from Arizona.
Not first round. We're talking top 10.
Top 10.
Oh, top 10. I thought you said first. Oh.
No, top 10.
Oh. Nope. Don't want that one. Never mind.
I'm torn.
You know what? I'm going with it.
I like it.
Because everyone's not going with it. I want money. I'll take that. Patrick Williams is actually a guy who I've had on my list, low key. He's a confusing prospect because he's low key Florida State GOAT, but he loves to shoot the ball. I just don't know if that will translate to the NBA. But like low key, like he could go top 10 like that, especially with the Pistons being rumored. So anything could happen. I'm taking it. And some other guy may fall to the 10. I don't know.
So
it's definitely possible someone else could creep up there. I am not a big Patrick Williams guy, but I do think at the fact that he's been rumored to the Pistons quite a bit, it means something. So we'll see. All right, next one. Cole Anthony. Obviously, this was a top 5 guy coming into last season. He's now slated to go more, after pick 15, which is kind of crazy. But his over-under is 20.5 pick, right? I'm taking the under. I think he will go top 20, and the under is plus 105 right now. You're actually getting positive odds on him going before the 21st pick in the draft.
That's so tough.
That's a bet I love to take. Because
you want under?
Oh yeah, under. You go plus what you said, plus
Plus 105. It's just a little bit better.
Plus 105. You get a little bit of extra money, and I mean, he definitely has potential to be one of the one of the breakout players. I could definitely see him in like a Tyler Hero role where he just gets picked a little bit later than some of the other big names, and then ends up kind of popping off throughout the season.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that need backup point guards, and Paul Anthony has the potential to eventually be a superstar, right? We know he has that ability. He was hurt a lot last year, underperformed at UNC, but a team like the Celtics that has 3 first-round picks, including number 17, which is conveniently before the 21st pick, they desperately need a backup point guard. Wouldn't you think they would go after a guy like Cole Anthony that can straight up hoop? I would think so.
No,
I'm taking the
Celtics.
under.
Who's the Celtics? Who they draft last year? Purdue guard.
Oh,
Carson
Edwards.
Edwards.
Bro, come on, you're down Carson as a backup point guard in the NBA. What are you doing?
Yeah, I am.
He's a walking bucket.
Him and
He's
Taco
awful.
Fall together are insane. That 1-2
He's
duo
awful.
is insane.
They're buckets.
I mean, you can doubt them all you want.
All right, I got one more if I were a betting man for you. So if I were a betting man, which I am, I would be betting the under on Tyrese Halliburton. He's getting under 7.5 is plus 140 right now. So the odds
Oh
that
my
he
gosh.
top 7. I see no way he falls past 7. I really don't. I know that some people are saying if he doesn't go by 5 or 6 that he'll fall to 11 or 12. I hear you because the 7 through 10 teams don't really need guards. The Cavaliers and Hawks picks, those 5 and 6 picks, whether those guys are taking those picks or not, or if they're trading them, I think that's where he's going to go. I heard one ESPN analyst today say he thinks he's going to be the best player in this draft right away.
Wow.
Years.
The site I'm looking
I think he's
at
getting
has
5.
to the Hawks at 6.
And I would like to trade the pick, but if we don't, I actually really like that because he's a combo guard. Play 1 and 2, can stroke it, can create, can play defense.
I mean, that'd just be another one of those dudes that we draft that we've done the last 3 years.
You are the worst fan.
Guards.
The worst
That's
fan.
so true, bro. We're just adding to that freaking stuff.
Yeah, and they're all like
Hunter and Reddish are
been, like,
3s.
decent.
Yeah,
to just trust one of them.
You got to draft 4 of those guys, and 1 will be good.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's what has the NBA.
I think at least 2 will be good. I think you go 2 for 4. I don't know.
We'll see.
NBA
I know.
miracle.
We'll see. I'm going.
I do
I'm going
think
under as well.
Halliburton's under. Thank you. Plus 140.
Yeah.
It's the positive odds say he's going.
Put the
Under.
bank account on it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. We support logical and reasonable gambling. Right?
responsible gambling.
Responsible gambling.
Bovada does not sponsor them.
No, they want us to send the bank account and all the Bitcoin. All right, we're going to go straight into NBA draft predictions out of this. I've got a couple questions lined up for you guys. I don't even know if I, prepped you guys for all these, so we're just going to see what happens when I ask them. But the first one, I want to know who you guys think is going number 1 and then who actually should go number 1. And this is like best player available. I'm not talking necessarily fit because who knows, Timberwolves could trade the pick. Who should go number 1, but who do you think is going to go number 1? Jacob Hart.
If the Timberwolves have a number 1 pick, we don't know if things are going to flip flop on draft night. So obviously this could change. I think that LaMelo's going to go number 1 overall. I mean, he's arguably the most talented player in the draft class, whether we like him or not.
It's how
so if the
LaMelo Ball
Timberwolves still
podcast.
keep the number 1 pick. You have right. Anyway, if the Timberwolves have that first pick, I think LaMelo's going to go number 1. I mean, they had a workout with him today again, individual workout. I believe it was in California. But for the best talent on the table, I mean, again, this draft class, looking at it, it's not the best draft class, but it's definitely not the worst draft class. I think there's a lot of sleepers that we could see later in the first round.
It's deep. It's just not top heavy like we've seen in some previous years.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not top heavy.
To be fair, I saw a stat like recently that was talking about how like most of like the all-star players in the past, I don't know, like 10 years have all been taken in that like late lottery, early like playoff team pick, like
So they go to good situations. You don't go to crappy teams right away.
But so like the sleeper, I think there's a lot of validity to the sleeper idea.
But anyway,
Yeah,
Jacob
I
Hart,
think
who
that's
should
what
be?
they take.
Who should be?
I'm really high on Ant Edwards. That's just me. I like he has an NBA body. He can create a shot for himself more than anyone else in the draft, really, off the bounce. He's incredible off the bounce. I think that they can work on his defense, obviously, when they get to the NBA with all the different coaches that go along with that. But his talent and his size and his strength is not something that you're going to get a lot in this draft class for how he's built. So I feel like he is going to be – I think he's going to be a stud, honestly. So I think they're going to be able to work with him and just – I don't know, create for himself and for other teams. So I really like Ant Edwards. Again, his workouts have been, on and off, even though he was on ESPN and getting all the, all the attention with Clutch and Rich Paul. But I love Ant, so I'm going to go with him.
Sounds good. Boy Dizzle, who should be and who will be?
So, who will be the number one pick is LaMelo Ball. I think people are going to try. Okay, he said the same thing. He didn't shake his head.
No, I'm mad because you're about to say he should be too.
Oh, well, there you go. He will be the number one pick, just because there's so much hype around him. Let's just be honest. We've been following this kid ever since he was a freshman in high school. That might be because of his brothers, yeah, but I mean, he's still scored whatever points in a high school game. It should be LaMelo Ball, and here's why. I mentioned this in past podcasts, people. He's 6'7". He is the best playmaker in the draft. All right. If I feel like a team could be able to hand him keys to the offense and say, go. Like, go do what you do. And that's pick and roll. He's a pick and roll machine. If you pair him up, let's say, with a Karl Anthony Towns or another big, if another team trades for him, he can be elusive in a pick and roll type offense. I think he makes everyone around him better. That's the old LeVar Ball quote about Lonzo, but this is true, where LaMelo can make literally everyone around him better. With it, just look up his passes in Australia recently. Like they're insane. He's the best. I think he's the best passer, and I don't think he's the best scorer in this draft. I think Anthony Edwards is going to average a lot of points as a rookie, but he's the ability to make people better. He has the most upside in the league. I think he has the most, not in the league, but in this class, he has the most creativity and he has the most star power among all prospects. I think it's a good risk. It's a risk, but it's a good risk to take. The only thing is that his resume is like terrible. Like he's been too many places. He's played for too many guys. But I think, it's just
underwhelming stats, underwhelming shooting.
Hey, well, you know what? Here's the thing: is that you give him the keys. Let's see if he can start the car and go for a drive.
Generally speaking, when you throw him into an NBA situation, all that gets worked out.
I mean, like, all right, we'll see. Give him the keys.
Well, yeah, who knows?
Rebelish,
you give him the keys.
You believe differently, so who should be, who will be?
I actually also could see LaMelo just as the first. It just depends on what happens with the Timberwolves pick. I don't think we're gonna know that until the trades come through and we see who makes the move up and what position they are really kind of hunting after. I think that I could see Wiseman as, I think he probably should be the number one. I mean, he was a freak, and then he had the weird NCAA thing, right, where he set out,
which was BS. So stupid.
And I mean, terrible. So we didn't get to see as much, but I mean, he's a 7 foot, center who can do everything that is required of a current NBA center. So I mean, I think that with a little bit of pro coaching and a little bit of pro strength training and stuff, I think that you can see a lot of really good things from him.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with you. I'm gonna echo everything else. Yeah, I think LaMelo will be the first pick. I think I hear the upside, I hear the risk. I don't want anything within 100 yards of LaMelo Ball. Don't put him on my team. No, not crazy. Dude has never been able to defend, and he can't shoot. And so he's a great rebounder and a great passer and a great creator, just like his brother. Lonzo was not a good number 2 overall pick. I don't think LaMelo will be a number 1 overall pick. That's just an opinion. I'm also with Ruby. I think if I have the number 1 pick on my team, I don't give a crap about what position they play. I want the best player on the board. I think that best player is James Wiseman. I do love Ant. I'm a little worried because I did watch a lot of Ant last year. Yeah, he can create his own shot, but he can't necessarily make those shots he creates. And he gave awful effort on defense. The good thing is I do think it was effort. I think he has defensive ability. I think Jacob's right. They'll coach him up. He'll get better. Worried about the motor. Just damn. But Wiseman, to Ruby's point, the dude's a freak. He's a unicorn, right? We talk about unicorns now, and Kristaps Porzingis, Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We go through all these unicorn guys. These are some of the best players in the league. I think Wiseman's the next one of them. But anyway, that's the number one pick. Yes, Will, what's up?
I have my hand raised if people are listening to this. I think, okay, I just want to point out something. I don't think it's like an arguing point, but like you guys, all three of you guys said like coaching, like I think Jacob said about like they'll coach him up on defense, or they'll get him in like strength training and like, you know, like yeah, there's definitely, of course, there's coaching in the NBA. But like, what about the skills that you like can't teach though? Like, I think LaMelo's got skills that people can't teach.
I like Wiseman's skills that you can't teach as well. I just think that if anything, it gets better.
But like, you can't say like,
I used the word coaching for Ant. I did not use the word coaching.
And
for
I didn't mean necessarily coaching. I did mean like strength and I mean he's tall, but he's not as big as he could be for a NBA center. But
he looks like Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis was coming in the league. He was a little twig. He was tall. He could protect the rim. He could shoot. He could play like around the basket. He could rebound. Wiseman can do all those things. Probably not to 80's level. I don't think he's going to be Anthony Davis, but I do think he's going to be.
Oh, let's just not even make that comparison right now.
Well, but I'm saying in terms of body shape coming out of college, and high school recruiting stature, yes, he is similar. I don't think he will be as good. I'm just saying. I think Wiseman and LaMelo, yes, they have those physical gifts that you can't teach, right? And Ant has that body. You can't teach Anthony Edwards' body. He just looks like an NBA player. I just think LaMelo and Anthony will require more coaching, whereas Wiseman, I think, is just going to be a stud because of his skills at his size.
I just don't like the one last thing I'll say is like I just don't think we can point to a weakness and say, but they'll coach him up on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course you're going to coach him up on it.
Well, and that's concerning for your LaMelo argument because.
But I didn't say. But they're going to coach him up on it.
True. But to be clear, I'm not saying that there's like a significant weakness. Like we said, there are other players in the past, like Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, when it comes to mind, who are just smaller but taller, and they fill out a little bit. No, Kevin Durant still doesn't fill out as much, but the point is that's my only gripe with him is that he, in order to defend and be that kind of like center, prototypical center, he needs to bulk up a little bit more. But I don't think that is out of the question, and I think that that's definitely part of like just becoming an NBA player. I don't think that that's like a crazy logical leap. Whereas, like the coaching I'm talking about is not like any skills wise. It's literally just like a professional dietitian, a professional like.
There's a difference between coaching and strength and conditioning. I think those are two different things.
Yes.
So Wiseman needs strength and conditioning. The other guys need coaching. All right, moving on to the next NBA draft part. I want to know who your biggest bust will be. I'll get the ball rolling on this one. Patrick Williams, say it with me. How many times have we seen these lottery picks that were sixth men for their college basketball team? They couldn't even start for their college team. Teams look at their body and say, Marvin Williams, Dion Waiters, and then they draft them with a top 10 pick, and then you have to suffer through their career watching them try to play when they couldn't even start in college. And as someone who sat through the Marvin Williams draft pick and suffered through the longstanding consequences of that for now a decade and a half, I want nothing to do with Patrick Williams. If the Hawks somehow traded back / took him with 6, I would scream at everything. Even if he ends up being good, I will just be mad because I want nothing to do with guys who could not start for their college teams. Don't give me whatever excuses. I'm sure, Ruby, you might have one. Howard may have had one if he was on here. Want nothing to do with 6 men.
I got nothing for you.
Good. That's my bust. Get him away from me.
I mean, I think that's a pretty fair bust. I'm gonna actually go Kyra Lewis Jr. from Alabama.
You don't like him?
Well, I don't like him because of where I'm seeing him projected. I'm seeing him going to the Kings a bunch.
Fill it up.
But he's like fast and quick, but like that's not what they need because they already have that. And I think that's
Well,
Like I just don't see that.
If you're going 16 to 20 range, like 90% of those guys are not going to be NBA starters, right? Like those are probably going to be like, I think he would be a great backup to De'Aaron Fox because he has a similar play style. But if you're saying like in terms of bust, like he won't be an all-star, you're probably right. But also, are you really expecting that from an 18th overall pick or whatever?
Well, but I have him at 12 on the thing I'm looking at here.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, to the Kings.
That would be a bust. You're right.
So, and I mean, like, yeah, like, also, like I said earlier, I actually think that there's a lot of validity to this, like, idea that for whatever reason, it seems like the middle of the pack, like, draft just has hit so much recently that I don't think you can just look at it as, like, I think you almost have to look at it just as high as some of those lottery picks.
I mean, that's an argument you can make for sure. We've seen Giannis and Kawhi were obviously both middle of the first round picks. I still think as a whole, you're not going to be counting on those guys as much as the higher guys.
True, but even like Tyler Hero was playing in the NBA Finals this year, and he was one of those guys. So like, like I said, there are exceptions to the fact that like there's a really, really high ceiling for those guys, but you could definitely miss, and if they just become nothing, I think that hurts it almost as much as like some of the higher picks.
That's fair.
All right.
I like some of his scoring. I mean, to go along with the bus, I was gonna look more at the Arizona routes, but the players aren't gonna go high enough with Josh Green and Nico Mannion. I don't know. I'm not going to really talk more about bus because they're going to go in the 19 to 25 range. Probably both those guys. Josh Green will probably go a little higher, but start with him. I mean, he was not a very effective shooter at Arizona. He had a lot of hype coming out of high school. I don't know how he's going to be in the pros. I mean, he's not going to. We can't expect him to be an absolute stud, but I really don't know how he's going to pan out in the league. I'm really interested to see what Killian Hayes does, an international prospect. Lefty point guard. I mean, has a little bit of James Harden comparisons, in a way coming out of Arizona State for Harden. But I mean, Hayes is supposed to go top 10. Would I take him with a top 10 pick? I could be kind of skeptical just because I really don't know how he's going to be.
The Bulls taking him at 4. What I'm looking at.
Wolf. Which one are you looking at? Oh my gosh.
I'm looking at NBC.
NBC's crazy. Kirilou's going 12 and Killian Hayes going 4.
But I've seen Hayes in the 8 to 10 range, which would give me expectations that he would need to, produce, not necessarily next year, but I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of him. I don't know his competition level internationally, and just, I don't know. I haven't got a good vibe from him just watching film from him over the season, over the past couple of weeks, just seeing the new mock draft. So I've had to say him as a bust, but I mean, I don't know. I hope the best for him.
That's fair. Boy D, who's your bust?
I agree. My bust is Obi Toppin. I think we all know Obi Toppin as like the star of college basketball.
Ain't no stopping Obi Toppin.
He just dunking on everyone and stuff. But like, his beast factor, I like to say, he is a beast. But I think that beast factor is going to be very limited in the NBA. I don't think he's going to get that explosion that he did in college. His pick and roll game is absolutely fantastic. And of course, you guys know me. I love pick and roll basketball, aka LaMelo Ball basketball. Mm-hmm. But I just don't. Hey, here you go. But I just don't think he's definitely got the strength. I just don't see it going to the NBA. And I'm gonna butt in. Are we doing sleepers as well, or are we just doing this? Because I want to do one sleeper.
We will be doing sleepers at a later time.
I'll name it. I'll name it later. But yeah, okay. I think Obi Toppin isn't it, Chief?
Okay, I have one counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
How can you stop him? Because there ain't no stopping Obi Toppin.
You put a 7-footer right in his mouth. Put your hands up.
I'll probably
not even in his mouth. Just put a middle schooler in front of him to defend, and that's how you stop Obi Toppin. I love Obi. He's fun. He can't guard anyone. He can't guard anyone.
Exactly.
He's a bucket.
I've got to anyway. Terrible defense.
It's awful. All right, that's fair. Bulls will probably take him. I'd be cool with that. Yeah. We're going to go to biggest studs now. So give me the guy you think, hey, 10 years from now, this is the baddest dude that came out of this draft.
I'll give you my stud for this. Well, can we just say? I'll just say LaMelo Ball, but I'll say someone else. Oh yeah, I'll say someone else. I want to say Denny because I'm on the Denny train. I would be ecstatic if the Hawks took Denny. That would be the only guy I'd love to take, and then everyone else I'd probably hate on in some form or fashion. But I just think he's.
Let's be honest, you would hit on Denny too after his first, like 10-point game. You're like, oh, only 10 points. He sucks.
Exactly. Sorry, I only got 10. But I mean, Denny, he's a guard with a power forward body. You know, he absolutely dominated those European dudes who are just trash. And I see it. He's a shooter. He can
Israeli dudes.
Post. Huh?
Put in
He's
Israel.
Israeli.
Oh.
Yeah.
With Tyler Dorsey and Scotty Wilbekin on the same team.
All right, we can stop.
They're all goats.
I know they're all goats, but can we just continue?
Yes.
Jacob, who's your stud? Who's the baddest dude?
Dude, I can't say Ant is gonna be a stud. I don't care what his workouts say. He's a physical specimen. Again, can create his own shot. Hey, and he's gonna be able to play defense. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a good comparison for him, like in the league.
Dwayne Wade.
D-Wade's the token one, but I give you Victor Oladipo, maybe.
I don't want to.
It's actually where I would have gone.
I don't really. I didn't want to go the D Wade route just because Ant already had his comments about how he thinks he's going to be maybe better than D Wade. So we're gonna leave that.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. That's a rough sentence to have out there, unless you are better than D Wade.
I mean, hey, he won't like. I'm not.
He said he will be.
But I don't know. I think he's going to be a star. I mean, I really hope he gets put in the right situation. Obviously, it's a big deal for some of these guys in the NBA based on the team and the roster situation that they go to. But I really think he's going to be a stud. I mean, again, I've said a bunch about him already, but I hope he can continue to get together, especially defensively, because like you said, Ryan, if he can put forth the effort, which I'm sure Tom Crean told him a bunch at Georgia to do that, but it probably went right over his head since he was, a stud. But
Tom Crean, elite defensive coach. Elite.
We love Tom Crean here at Kennesaw State.
We do. He breeds coaches.
He's came to like 2 or 3 of our games.
He has.
Yeah.
Great guy. Anyway, Anthony Edwards. Remember the name, even though we all know it.
Rebelish.
Boys.
All right, so it's easy to say James Wiseman here because like we already had the whole conversation about him, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go RJ Hampton. It's maybe a little bit of like a sleeper pick. I like the idea of kind of going to the Breakers. I like the idea of international players who like started obviously in like American high school and then like went international.
Yeah,
instead of the college route.
Emmanuel Mudiay is my favorite player in the NBA. Great lottery.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball.
SMU could have been legend.
Part of it is I love that he just like snubbed Kansas because like
Spencer.
I mean, but also like I don't know. I just like his game. I think that I could see him as like maybe one of those like 15, 16 guys who end up being something. So I think that he was in that like top like discussion, kind of like Cole Anthony was at the start of the year, and then just because he went overseas, they kind of like have moved him down a lot.
Like LaMelo Ball.
Well, I'll close this one out.
Moved him way down.
Give me Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's going to be a stud. Honestly, you guys just took the other obvious choices. It's easy to go with potential top 5 picks. I'll go with potential top 6 pick. I don't actually know if Halliburton will be good. I really don't, but I think the Hawks might take him, in which case I'm going to will this into existence. He will be a stud. But Ruby kind of just took us into the sleepers already. I want to know, honestly,
I have a different sleeper, by the way.
Okay, good. We're not going to get a Kawhi. We're not going to get a Giannis. We might not even get a Tyler Hero. But there's got to be someone in that range that you think is going to be either contributes immediately next year like Hero, or a couple years from now is an absolute animal. I'm going to give you Aaron Naismith as my boy.
That's a good one.
I love him, and it's tough because he obviously played so few games at Vanderbilt because he broke his foot. The dude was making 4 threes a game at a 52% clip when he went down. 85% free throw shooter. He's long. He can defend. He got a little bit better at defending, but the only problem really with him and his game is that he can't necessarily create his own shot at this point. that's okay. That's really okay for me. If you can be an elite shooter like that and also have the length to defend, he's got a great body. He's 6'6", can play the 2 or 3. And like, I don't think he's going to be necessarily Kawhi Leonard or Giannis, but that's kind of like the fun of picking these guys. It's like, you don't know what they're going to be. But I think next year he can contribute at a Tyler Hero level. So I love Aaron Naismith. I hope he doesn't go to a crappy team that ruins him. But that's my boy. So Ruby, who is your actual sleeper?
I'm gonna go with Udoka Azubuike. Not because I think that he's like projected to go super high. I just could see like some team kind of taking like a flyer on him, and then him being so. I mean, he was so good last year at Kansas, and I get that there are concerns that he's like can't shoot really
At all.
and like his free
Anywhere
throw
outside the paint.
his free throw shoot's not great, but also if you look, there are definitely other guys in the NBA who kind of fall into that mold who have been very successful. I mean, Rudy Gobert, Andre Drummond, guys like those. I could see him maybe not being to that level, but for what you're gonna get drafting him, I could definitely see maybe like a decent backup center who can contribute a little bit, maybe rise to that like starter role on a bad team a couple years from now.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Dude
like
can
that.
protect the rim.
I like
He can
that.
do it. All right,
They're
Jacob
both good.
Hard.
I'm gonna bounce off you, Rob. Not necessarily on the pick, but I'm kind of caught up between Ashton Higgins and Miles Powell. Two completely different players. But to talk a little bit about Higgins, I mean, he's arguably the best perimeter defender in the draft. I mean, he's long, gets a bunch of steals. I mean, if he can get his offensive game more complete, I feel like he could be a real sleeper in the draft. Just that's a big question mark for him, as he didn't have to do much really offensively necessarily outside the paint for Kentucky. But my biggest sleeper is Miles Powell, just because of how he can fill it up. I mean, we all saw that at Seton Hall. I mean, he's an electric scorer. I mean, if he's going to be in the NBA, which he will be at some point, I don't know when he's going to be able, if he's going to even start, but I feel like he can be an immediate scoring option off the bench. His defense is definitely a question mark, but I mean, he can absolutely fill it up. I feel like he could really contribute off the bench for a team wherever he falls in the draft or wherever he goes. He's going to be able to score at a high level, so I like him as a sleeper.
Hello.
Do you have any sleepers?
My sleeper is one of my favorite players from college basketball last year, Cassius Winston. I just think he has the ability. He's a pure shooter, great passer, can also defend, which is pretty much what you want. And I think he can be one of the best backup point guards in the league in the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And he has that body build kind of like CP3. Maybe he can go out something like that. You know, I've loved Cassius Winston for like the last 2 or 3 years. I think everyone, like the nation, has loved Cassius Winston, unless you're like a Big Ten. You face him every game. So I mean, he was low key sleeping in college. The amount of times he like went off, like you just kind of know him as like the leader of Michigan State, but he would score. He's a good ball player. I think right now he's projected top 20, 25. It would be interesting to see where he goes, because there are a lot of good young point guards on this list, but he's like a vet. So, you know, we'll just see. I'm riding the Cassius train all aboard.
I want him to fall to the Lakers and get tutored by Rajon Rondo. That's what I love
it. Yeah,
that'd be
awesome.
nice.
I think it'd be really fun. I think he's a great fit. And you're right. I think it's easy to love Cassius Winston, even though Michigan State breaks Virginia fans' hearts more often than not. Gotta love Cassius.
Yeah.
Gotta love Cassius. All right, well, that's great. I'm excited for the NBA draft, guys. We're 1 week away. We're recording this on the 11th, so we are 7 days away. I'm excited. Get your prop bets in while the lines are still favorable. We're going to football. Fantasy studs and sleepers is the name of the game. And I'm going to take Howard Studs since Howard's not on here. Dalvin frigging. My Lord, that guy is so good. He's so good. Also, the Vikings run the ball
37 against me.
He's so good. I got some fun stats for you guys, actually. He is leading the NFL in rushing since week 6. He did not play week 6 or week 7. Whoa, how about that for a fun stat? I got another one. Over his last 2 weeks, he has 50 more yards after contact than the next highest player has total rushing yards.
That's
How about it? How about he's got like 6
It's
touchdowns?
moderately impressive.
I mean, the dude is unreal. He's so good.
It's like whatever.
He is so good. I can't wait to take him with a high fantasy pick next year since my team sucks. And my sleeper, Tua Tagovailoa.
He popped last game.
He popped last game. I got him back on my team. I dropped him for 1 week. He went for 22. I picked him back up.
You have to.
I did notice
I have to have him on my team. Look, he scored over 21 last week. The dude's playing with no running backs. They literally cannot run the ball. They have to throw the ball. Myles Gaskin's hurt. Matt Breida's hurt. They're off his line. Can't run block. He plays the Chargers, Broncos, Jets, and Bengals in his next 4 games. The dude has 1 turnover in his first 2 games, and it was on an Aaron Donald strip sack, which I don't think you can blame anyone for. He's made great decisions with the ball. They're keeping him within his means. So we'll see. He could end up not doing anything, but I want him to be so good, which is why he is my sleeper pick of the week. Boy Dizzle, you got a stud and a sleeper for me?
I got a stud and a sleeper for you. My stud was he was my quarterback for the last 2 years, Patty Mahomes. Position weight run quarterback. I think we all know what he did. He's in the last 2 weeks, he's thrown, for over, let's say combined, whatever, 800, 900 yards. And then he's thrown 9 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. Against the Jets, he threw 416. Against the Panthers, he threw 372. Panthers are considered one of the best pass defenses in the league. So, it was just tough to hear. So it's like 700. It's like 780, whatever.
Yeah.
So UVA, check it out. Appreciate it.
900 really just opened my eyes.
Yeah, I know. That was
close to 900.
So again, KSU education. So, I mean, it's just he's insane. I really wish. I don't wish I kept him. I guess I just he's just a man amongst men. He is that dude. And he keeps proving it when people are like, oh, look at this quarterback over here. He's like, no, guys, look at me. I'm Patrick Mahomes.
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. Remember who your daddy is. It's Patty Mahomes.
Oh,
it's Patty Daddy, baby. Patty Daddy.
He could win.
My sleeper will make the guy to my left, Jacob, happy. Jacoby Myers.
Yes, sir.
I loved it. I got so lucky claiming him. I was so scared that Jamison Crowder was going to not play on Monday night. And so I just picked up a random New England wide receiver off waivers and got Jacoby Myers.
We've all been there.
Wide receiver 1. And he had 12 for 169 on Monday night, which is just freaking insane. How does Cam throw 169 yards? Baffles me. But it's just insane. I just got him off. And I'm not juicing him up just because he's on my team, but I'm kind of juicing him up because he's on my team. And so I'm not starting him at the flex this week just because I want another week of just glory to just sit back and watch.
It's a must start in all leagues.
I don't believe so. Yeah. But here's the thing: is that I think he can be the wide receiver 1 for the next. If he can do that and
if you're looking for a flex receiver to carry you into the fantasy playoffs, that would be a good pickup.
I say pick up Jacoby Myers if he hasn't been picked up. He should have been picked up. If not, your league's stupid.
I was gonna say your league sucks if he is.
Jacob, sleeper studs. I
love Jacoby Myers. You can't complain. Will Fuller's a stud, everybody. All right, if he stays healthy for a 16-game season, he's a stud. And we've seen it this week. Credit to Nundy, in our fantasy league. Big shout out to our ex-producer. He drafted Will Fuller. I was skeptical. He gets hurt with he has a hamstring injury pretty much every season. And this season, he's at a position rank 7 in fantasy for receivers. He had a touchdown in 6 straight games. He had a bunch of upside coming into the year with D-Hop leaving and being in the number 1 option, but it was just really, could he stay healthy? So he's been a stud so far this season. I think he's going to be able to keep it up just because, Deshaun's going to be able to throw the ball to him consistently, and he's going to be able to rack up points. I think he's going to be a stud. He's a matchup problem for a lot of defenses. So I like him. And for my sleeper, I'm going to go with another receiver, David Moore from the Seahawks. He's their 3rd receiver. He's arguably better than Lockett and DK, but He's a great target. He's a great target. He's a great.
He's arguably.
You're not gonna go
Arguably.
past that. You just didn't just say that.
It would take an incredibly convincing argument. Yeah.
Go.
I mean, and then this guy traded me DK in fantasy.
It sounds stupid.
Everyone approves of the trade, and they thought it was a good idea. Everyone on the podcast thought that.
We did not
But
think it was a good idea.
David Moore is a stud. Well, will be a stud, but he's my sleeper right now. He's got a touchdown the past 2 games, double-digit points. I mean, when Lockett and DK get doubled or tripled sometimes, I mean, he's a trustworthy option for Russ, and we've been able to see that throughout this season, getting some receptions. And he has 4 touchdowns throughout the year, so, I mean, he's been pretty solid. I think he could be a sleeper moving on, maybe a potential stash in some deep leagues. So I like him as a sleeper.
Fair enough, Ruben Lish.
All right, stud. I'm gonna go with Devontae Adams.
I knew you.
He is position ranked. Oh, shocker! If you haven't picked up, I've only picked players on my team this entire time. Anyways, he's position ranked 3 right now, wide receiver, and he missed like 4 weeks due to injury and bye, and then had like a rough matchup against the Bucks, who apparently aren't good but are good and then aren't good again. It's a very confusing team. But I mean, he's had like 2 touchdowns the past like 3 weeks. He's had 22 plus, 23 plus the past 3 weeks. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been on a mission all season because they drafted a quarterback and he's pissed about it.
And not a receiver. Yeah.
And they didn't trade for Will Fuller because 3rd round pick is too rich for their blood. So they decided to just let Devontae Adams catch the ball 15 times a game. My sleeper is going to be someone who I've always kind of like just gravitated towards. I don't know why, but I think Duke Johnson is a great pickup this week. David Johnson's out. He does pretty much like a lot of what David Johnson does, like just in terms of like he's a great receiving back. He's a good running back. Coming out of Miami, I just was always kind of high on him. I remember there was the Florida State Miami game where he hurt his ankle and then was out for the season. But before that game, I mean, Miami was getting all the hype and they were looking very threatening behind Duke Johnson. So I think that he's had a couple weird situations at the Browns. And then where was he last year? He was at the Texans. But anyways, he's just had a couple weird situations. He had Bill O'Brien as head coach. And I think that they're in a better spot now. So, and David Johnson's been great this season for what he is, and he's had like 10-ish points a game. And I think that Duke Johnson, who if you're looking for a running back, and if David Johnson's out for the next little bit with the concussion, he's a player who could at least win you this week. I don't know how much going forward. Just depends on the extent of David Johnson's injury.
Yeah, David Johnson's been so good. I mean, honestly, he's had pretty much as good a season as DeAndre Hopkins, if you really think about it. So, great value trade there by BOB.
Honestly,
BOB,
did they fire Bill O'Brien too quickly?
No.
Did they fire Bill O'Brien too quickly?
We're gonna take this lovely David Johnson running back and take that right into our last prompt, which is who the best running back in the league is right now. I want to build a top 3 for the podcast, who are our top 3 best running backs in the league. There's so many good ones. I don't even think I appreciated how many good ones there were until I tried to answer this question. So, basis of this question, overall, how good have they been at the NFL level in recent years? Obviously, Saquon is a torn ACL, so you wouldn't answer that right now. Zeke, he's been playing without Dak Prescott, so you wouldn't think that. But both of them, you need to think of when they're healthy, when they've got the players around them. Who are the best 3 running backs in the NFL right now? So I want to hear your guys' number 1 pick for running back. Best in the league, Nick Rubenacci.
Okay. I mean, look, I love Saquon. Saquon's one of my favorite players. He's so much fun to watch. I'm not gonna pick him,
Good.
which might come as a surprise.
Yeah.
Look, with a better offense, if the Giants were at all competent or capable, I think this is a different story. I think that there are two that I'm just so torn between, and I don't if one of you guys says Dalvin Cook or Henry and wants to talk about that, you can go for it. But if you don't, I'm gonna talk about them both. Because like first off, Derrick Henry has just been an absolute monster the past 2 years. I mean, he's just like you can't stop him. He's so big, and he's 240 and 6'4" and runs like he's like 5'10" and 110 pounds. Like he's just so fast and so big. It's just I don't understand how you tackle him. I don't get it.
You don't.
Yeah, you don't. And then Dalvin Cook is also someone who I've just been so high on. And this is also a little bit of Pastor's pick, I'm sure. He's a Florida State boy. I mean, he was so good at Florida State, and I always kind of saw this coming, where he was just gonna be like one of the best backs in the league. And I mean, this season more than anything, he's proved it. And I think that in other seasons he could have proven it. He just had a bit of an injury problem, and even this season he's been banged up, but it hasn't mattered because when he is on the field, he's putting up like I think that was 487 scrimmage yards the past 2 weeks, which is just I mean the Giants haven't gotten 487 yards as a team, and God knows how long. That might not be true, but it feels like it.
Definitely not. But
Yeah, like I've got Derek and Dalvin 3 and 4. My problem with Dalvin is durability is a pretty important thing for running backs. Like you need a guy who's there.
I agree. My thought process for this question was that was kind of taken off the table.
All right. Well, I think I don't know. I think injuries and durability do play a role. I'm eager to hear what Will and Jacob have. I'm gonna say Alvin Kamara. I got CMC 2, I got Derrick Henry 3, and I got Dalvin Cook 4. And you can keep going. Zeke, Saquon, again, so many good running backs in the NFL right now. But Alvin Kamara, he is a top 5 receiver in the league and a top 5 running back in the league. His route running is incredible. He's blazingly fast. He's strong, tough to tackle. His balance is truly just something we've never seen before. I think he's just the best all-around back in the league. But Jacob, Will, who you got?
Jacob.
I think Henry's a consensus. He's just different than everybody else in the league. Just for how he's built and for how he runs, he's just different than everybody else. I mean, I guess Zeke kind of runs like him, but Henry's just different. And with Dalvin playing with how he is, it's hardly even out of the top 3 consideration right now, just for what he's done, especially the past 2 games. Again, I also consider durability a big issue when talking about running backs. But again, they average about 3 or 4 years in the league. So, I mean, everyone gets banged up, I guess, at some point in their career. But we all know I'm big on C-Mac. I mean, he's transcended, it seems like. And when he was coming out of Stanford, I mean, I didn't think he was going to be as good as he's been so far. I mean, he's been hurt this year, but he's had 6 touchdowns in the 3 games he's played in. So I think that's pretty unbelievable. And him and Kamara are they're really similar. I mean, the 2 best pass catching backs in the league. I mean, you can argue either one. I just feel like they're kind of tied, in my opinion, as a pass catching back. So it's hard for me to go between C-Mac and Alvin, but right now I'm going to have to go with C-Mac for just the way he impacts the game, just like Kamara does, but it's hard for me to go between those two. But I'm going to have to put C-Mac in.
I would say the one thing I give to C-Mac is that he simply touches the ball so much more. And he's such a staple of that team. And someone like Michael Thomas or even like Drew Brees, just for the name recognition, kind of like takes a little bit of away. Like, it's not Alvin Kamara's team by any means, but it is definitely C-Mac's team.
True.
I think that's
more so than Kamara
on your team. When Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson are your quarterback and your best receiver versus Hall of Famer Drew Brees, arguably the best, So I think that's just tough, but I hear you. And to Jacob's point, you had C-Mac and Kamara up at the top like I did. The league is turning to passing. Like, I don't think that's any secret. Like, we are a pass-heavy league. Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry are phenomenal. They also play on 2 of the 3 biggest run-heavy offense in the NFL, right? You could have also said Nick Chubb somewhere for this question, who plays on the other one. So they are different teams, and they're excellent at what they do, but the league is moving towards passing, and that's Kamara and C-Mac. But Boydie, what are your thoughts?
So I'm gonna go on the C-Mac train. I'm gonna put him at 1. He's just. I mean, we said it all pretty much. He's insane. I get the workload. He gets the most touches, I think, but like he deserves them. He's a man. What he does when he touches the ball. I mean, you can only expect positive things. He's probably definitely had his fair share of mess ups, but like, watching Sunday NFL Ticket when he's on the field, like it always seems like he's breaking out. And so I'm putting him at 1. Just like you guys, Kamara is at 2. That might be a surprise to some of you because of the Saints hate, but give credit where credit is due. Those two guys are definitely the best running back, receiver guys that can go out, run routes really well, catch the ball, go upfield with them. I mean, every time you see Kamara catch one in the backfield, you're thinking he could probably go for 30 yards here. I think the same is for C-Mac. It's just, they're just so shifty and they can do whatever with the ball. And I want to give credit to Dalvin Cook. It's the same stuff you guys said. It's the durability is definitely an issue. When he's at his peak performance, we can see what the heck he does. But I gotta leave him outside of my top 3. Derrick Henry is just an absolute animal. What he did to I think we all keep forgetting what he did to the Ravens last year in the playoffs when
for a 1 second. That's why
Thomas before the game was like, yeah, I don't think guys are interested in tackling him, and then Derrick Henry stiff-armed him twice in one play. And then he threw.
He did end, Josh Norman's career.
His life, and when you're a career ender, you got to put him up there. I compare him to his body is it's like he was made from an alien, an alien planet. Those guys aren't made here, but he is. So I'll put him at number 3 now. He definitely has the opportunity to go 1 if he keeps up what he's doing. So there's my.
All right. Well, I think Will just gave us our top 3. It seems pretty straightforward. But we'll go C-Mac 1, Kamara 2, D Henry 3, and Dalvin unfortunately looking in from 4 just because he's always hurt. But hey, when he's healthy, last 2 weeks, really unbelievable.
Yikes! The one thing I will say to help Dalvin Cook's credit is based on how this question was kind of formulated, and that it's kind of when they're at their best. And at that point, you could also knock off points for Christian McCaffrey because he's been injured this season.
Yeah, but he's been injured for he didn't miss any games, I think, in his first 3 seasons. Yeah, and Dalvin's hurt pretty much every year. I think that's just what we're getting at durability wise. Yes, when he's at his best, but he's less frequently at his best. Anyway, that's great. We'll move into fire breach shots, and I'll actually go first on this one because it's related to this question. I love Travis Etienne. I really love Travis Etienne, and when I watch him play, I'm like, dang, he looks like Alvin Kamara. If you look at their running styles, they are eerily similar, which is why Travis Etienne will be the best running back in the NFL in 3 years. And that is my fire breach shot. I think we have the same conversation 3 years from now. The dude's unreal. Like we said, running backs, short shelf life, they get beat up. All those guys we just named are awesome. They will all not be the same 3 years from now. They're in their primes right now. I think it's going to be the Etienne show. I love him. I think he's going to be so good. I really hope the Dolphins use one of their first-round picks on him. And I think he'll be the best RB in the league 3 years from now. Boydie, I see you freaking out over there. You got a problem?
Yeah, James got a lighter under his leg. He's threatening to light it with me.
Jesus,
we don't support arson on this podcast. I'm just gonna come out with a firm stance against arson.
All right, so my fire breach shot, and it's a fire breach shot. It is a fire breach shot. I get it because of the flames.
Oh no.
My fire breach shot is that the Brooklyn Nets will win the NBA Finals.
And I feel like that's not that fire breed of a shot, right? They have a decent chance.
Okay, well, here's my stance. Here's what my thought process.
The Earth is flat. Kyrie.
Here's my thought process of it is that there's so many things going on with people. Stop, Jacob. They can't see.
Chill with the letter.
This. I think the thought process is that like people just absolutely hate this. Like they don't like these two are like the biggest snakes in the league, and they're like, oh, they're playing terribly together in like summer workouts, and oh, they're not gonna, and they're just getting so much hate. And I still see them as like absolute monsters. Like Kyrie is we keep hating on Kyrie just because like there's locker room stuff there and there's personality stuff there. I get that, but like he's still a man. Like he's still one of the best point guards in the league when he's fully healthy. And I think Kevin Durant, we don't even need to speak on him. He's the top. He's one of the top 4 players in the league. And I mean, you take those two guys together, maybe a little sprinkle of defense, and we can get an NBA championship winning team. And so I'm claiming I was gonna say Eastern Conference Finals, and I was like, okay, that's bullcrap. So I'm saying like they're going to be up there with the Lakers this year, and it's going to be them 2 in the finals, and the Brooklyn Nets are going to put LeBron in his place.
I will say I did see a trade rumor that Victor Oladipo potentially could end up there, and that is a big 3 that I would find very interesting.
I'm saying this before I even heard that, so.
Love it.
Bingo.
A little bit of credence to your firebird shot.
Hey, well, I Nets 2021 champs. You're here first.
I'm going with the firebird shot with the NBA as well. I'm twisting mic to me. I'm saying I'm trying to talk about Cole Anthony. I'm saying he's gonna be an all-star eventually.
Ooh.
I kind of like his. I kind of like his Russell Westbrook kind of like demeanor and kind of like how he like, brings about himself. I feel like can be kind of similar, especially like the high school Cole Anthony that we kind of saw like a little bit of Russell Westbrook in him. Not necessarily in college. I mean, we kind of didn't really get to see a full sample size of him, but I feel like he could really be a potential up and coming star. I mean, he has a lot of good attributes to take him that way. So. I was going to say the best player in the draft class, but that's way too easy. That's not even a firebreed shot. It's just the worst firebreed shot of all time. So I'm just going to say I think he could be an all-star. He will be an all-star. Give him a couple years. Gets the right opportunity. Maybe after a year or two, he gets to start on some team. So going with Cole Anthony. Liked him out of high school. I think he could have a good career.
I like it. Ruby, firebreed shoot.
Yes. So it's a Firebird Shots. It's a copycat league. And I'm gonna go with something similar to something that Ryan might have said in an earlier podcast, which is that I believe he said that Daniel Jones was gonna lead the Giants to the NFC conference or championship, which I still think is actually the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I do think that the New York Football Giants will make the playoffs. Now they are 2-7 right now, which outside looking in, not a great record for a potential playoff team. But they are only a game and a half back, and they play the Eagles this week. Which, if they win that, obviously would put them at half a game back. Which is just, I mean. It's more of a statement on the NFC East. However, I just love that the Giants would definitely have a losing record and be a playoff team in that scenario.
Yeah, no, definitely possible. The East sucks. It's a terrible division.
NFC least.
It is awful.
NFC Beast, watch your mouth.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
If you took an all-star team of all of the NFC East teams, you took all the best players, would they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a game?
Heck no. Heck no.
Well, you can't say heck no because I've actually rationalized through this, and the NFC East All-Star team is not great, but it's not terrible, right? Like
who would be the quarterback? Carson Wentz?
Oh yeah.
No. We're going current.
No, right now. No.
So it'd be Carson Wentz. It'd be Zeke would be your running back.
Carson Wentz.
Your wide receivers would be Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb would probably be your 3 receivers. Your tight end. I guess. I mean, maybe Evan Ingram. Zach Ertz is hurt. He's hurt, so maybe Evan Ingram.
Well, it's an Eagles player. They're always hurt.
Offensive line would just be a bunch of random dudes. But defensive line, you're gonna have like the defense is actually not bad. Like we looked through the defense. It's not that bad. Anyway, I'm saying it's food for thought. It'd be kind of fun to see them play the Chiefs and just see what happens.
Patrick would put 500 yards on there.
I don't
No,
think
the
that their
defense is
offense
actually
could keep up.
bad. The defense is really not actually bad. Like you look at it.
I don't think
Right.
the defense is that bad,
Very
but I think
slick.
Patrick Mahomes is that good, and I definitely don't think that.
Kendall Fuller, who's the
Carson
number one
Wentz-
corner in the league right now in terms of passer rating against him.
I don't think that matters. Patrick Mahomes is so good, and there's no one in the NFC that's even remotely
Did
close.
you hear Greeny's take about Patrick Mahomes, the MVP? He said that he's gonna be the MVP the next 15 years, and they should do an award that like we know Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, but like someone's just next, and just not give it to Patrick Mahomes. Give it to somebody else.
But
Mahomes
also,
will be MVP this year probably because he's got 25 touchdowns and only 1 interception. It is worth noting he is the second most dropped interceptions in the league this year. He's had 6 interceptions that were easily dropped. So he should have 7, and he has 1. Which, if you actually incorporate like half of those in, Aaron Rodgers' numbers are better. So it's worth noting. He's amazing. He'll probably
Well,
win
here's the
MVP.
thing. I mean, the way Patrick put those spirals on the ball, not a lot of people can catch them. So that's why people are dropping
Makes
those
the
passes.
DBs drop them.
That's what I'm saying.
Gosh.
They're like, "Holy crap! I'm about to intercept
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes," and then they're
It's
like,
the mental
"Oh, never
thing,
mind.
yeah.
It's the mental."
It's a God complex. Yeah.
I do think it said this on part of my take. I do think that there is a little bit of credence to the idea that people don't want to go as hard against Patrick Mahomes just because they don't want to be the guy who like injures Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
I think that there's a little Jesus.
Gosh.
All right.
I can't-
Go on, Rob. Go on.
But I do think that there is like a little bit of like you don't want to be the guy who like just does something that like messes with Patrick because he's so well liked around the league and he's just so much fun to watch that I think that there's a little bit of a.
I guarantee you that the Raiders and the Chargers defensive players who are playing him twice a year firmly disagree. I think they would not mind hurting him.
I think that that's the dude they want to pop.
Going low.
It's only been like 10
Anyway.
years since the Saints had a legitimate bounty problem. And like defensive players have that kind of just idea mantra. It's like, yeah, F this dude up. I'm just saying, I think some guys out there would not hate the idea of hurting Patrick Mahomes. That's all I'm saying.
And that's not their goal.
Like,
but,
Ndamukong Suh.
But if it happens because they hit him hard, like I think you just want to hit guys hard, right? As a defender, like that feels
it is
even
it's
as
football.
yeah, like
That's
you
fair,
want
but
to
I think
pop
like
dudes.
if they're going like 100%, they're going like 99%. Like it feels like there's a little bit less.
No.
Look,
And on
it's
that
just my
terrible
personal
note, we're done.
That's how we end
That's
the show.
really not
No.
a terrible note.
No.
It's
That's
fine.
a terrible
It's a
note.
1% difference, boy.
No.
What even does that mean? What even does that mean?
If Pastor was here, he'd be disappointed.
He would say.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, he would.
But he would sing "Kumbaya, my lord."
Pray for
Pray
That's
for
his
Howard,
prayer for
actually.
Pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clean
but
his room.
Kumbaya.
We are done.